Yeah, I wanted to begin with I'm having a sense of wanting to make an amends to y'all. You know that term from 12-step programs, or you ever watch the TV show Mom? Really good show. I recommend it. But you'll know about amends from 12-step work, AA, and groups that come from AA. And what an amends is, for those who aren't familiar, it's when you've done something that you regret, that you feel like caused harm to someone else, then you want to do something to make up for that. And that's what an amends is. So just coming back to this sutta, this single excellent night, first in the 131 version, in reading it this time, I realized that I've been leaving off a big chunk of what I got from looking at it this time. So that chunk, to me, I located it between the difference between what's being taught, I think, in the verse, what you can come away from the verse with, if that's all you read, and then what, to me, this discourse in all four, not one, not two, not three, but four different versions of it that we find one after the other here in the middle-length discourses, what it's saying when you read what's called the exposition, the part of the discourse that explains what's put out there in the verse, in brief, as they say. So yeah, and for me that was highlighted in comparing, actually, Bhikkhu Bodhi's word choice with Bhante Sujato's in that one little phrase in the verse. And I'm gonna read that phrase, and because I was reading it on my computer, and Bhikkhu Bodhi's version isn't online at Sutta Central, so I was reading Sujato's. I'll read his anyway, so Sujato says, he starts it out: don't run back to the past, don't hope for the future. What's past is left behind. The future has not arrived. That's the first verse, and that, to me, that pretty well matches Bhikkhu Bodhi's wording. But then what Sujato says next is, so the future has not arrived, and Sujato says, and phenomena in the present are clearly seen in every case, right? To me, that sounds like it's an automatic. If we don't run to the past or grasp for the future, then we'll be seeing phenomena in the present in every single case. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, Sujato, I know me. I know that doesn't match my experience. So I went and looked up Bhikkhu Bodhi, because I thought he must have said it differently, because it hadn't bugged me before. And he does. What Bhikkhu Bodhi says at that point is, so he leads into it, and the future has not yet been reached. It's not arrived. And he says, instead, with insight, let him see each presently arisen state, which is a practice instruction, right? He's telling us what to do, like Rebecca said. So I thought, if I had the time, I would go check the Pali and see if the word vipassana is there, because that's what's usually there if there's insight, or if Bhikkhu Bodhi perhaps influenced by the tradition, which would understand, I don't know which one of these two got the literal wording matching the Pali better, and I'm not really, I wasn't motivated to go look at that right now, although I'll probably be curious sometime. But that's what led me to think, well, I better read the rest, because here's my amends part. In leading groups, in teaching, what I have done, I'm embarrassed. What I have done is I have copied the verse and given it to you all as handouts, the Bhikkhu Bodhi verse, which if you don't read it too closely, it does sound just like what is often taught by contemporary teachers, and some, very well-known, very successful, and very helpful teachers will say, just be in the present, or not, or more frequently even in the present moment, right? That's like, if you had to pick one major instruction from Buddhist teachers these days, that would be a contender. And then, so I read the rest of the discourse, and it's like, again, like Rebecca said, it's very explicit. What does it mean to not be grasping for the future? And in this version, in the number 131, it means to not view the aggregates as mine, to not view this body, these feelings, these perceptions, the things we create out of experience, and the consciousness that brings us experience, to not view any of that as mine in the future or in the past. And then we come to the present, right? And it doesn't say, and as long as you're not doing that with future and the past, you're good with the present, right? That's not what it says at all. There's danger in the present, as we all notice frequently. And it's the language Bhikkhu Bodhi uses is that very evocative language. I think kind of what Regina, what you're noticing there, it really does. It's got a more poetic kind of, where Sujata is going for, just facts, ma'am, kind of often when he's translating the simplicity. But so what he says is, and how is one vanquished in regard to presently arisen states? So it's not only we're all good as long as we're not pulled to the past or the future, it's we can be vanquished. That's strong words, right? We can be vanquished. And it's when we identify, in this version, when we identify any of the 5 aggregates, our form, our feeling, our perceptions, the choices we create out of that experience, the consciousness that brings it, when we identify any of that as self, right? So the past and future kind of has to do with the mind part. This is my past, my future, that part of delusion. And then here in the present, it's the myself part of delusion. Then is when we're good. When we pull that off, then we can sit back and have our single excellent night. And we work with a lot of practices that help us learn how to do that. And I think this is helpful, seen as one that's wanting to be helpful in a similar way. Okay, here's the rest of the embarrassing part. Because I kind of knew this all along in the back of my mind, right? I've read the whole discourse before, and there's a part of me that would read this other part and go, people are not going to enjoy this part. People will enjoy the verse. And, when we're just beginning, and also, I guess it was me, I wasn't especially enjoying this part myself. Practices with contemplating the aggregates and even contemplating the sense bases and the dangers there have only become rich for me as concentration has deepened. That's not true for everybody. For some people, these kind of practices can be very rich more early on. We just work differently about that. But so I feel like I cheated a bit. That's the word. Like that I gave the part that I thought would be pleasant for people. And I just didn't, it wasn't totally cheating because I didn't understand or appreciate enough the rest, but it kind of was because I kind of knew. So I a little bit misrepresented what the Buddha teaches, I think, which is like not good. So I'm making this amends by passing along what I put together now and saying I'm sorry. I am sorry if I caused problems for anybody by doing that. Yeah. I think it's really important distinction. If you think about it, the Buddha does not teach, do not look at the past, right? I mean, on the contrary, right? The whole one part of the core definition of mindfulness in the text is remembering what was said and done long ago. We are to look at the past as it informs, strengthening our practice. And certainly looking at the future, karma is all about, in learning cause and effect. We need to appreciate that if we do this now, down the road, it's going to lead to that. Otherwise, we're very lost. It's core. So that's why I thought I'd make a little bit of a big deal about this today. I know this isn't exactly a surprise to any of you. This is not sounding weird. It fits with everything else we've been learning and sharing. But things can get murky. So I hope this is helpful. And if we have some time at the end, if you all would like, maybe raise your hands if you'd like to have some time after our silent period to come back and talk about this. Yes, or do it more next time. Okay, so let's say big chunk of silence for now and talk about this next time. Let's see hands. I count 3, 4. Okay, and let's go for it later now. I'm seeing 1. Okay, looks like we talk next time. Okay, thank you for listening. I appreciate it.